Good evening, Oli Brown, and thanks for taking time out to chat to us here at Metal Planet Music this evening.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Ollie, it's been quite a journey to this point here of 2023. The Dead Collective is now a very real project that burst into life last year.
Yeah, it's been overwhelming. I think last year we were kind of looking at digging in with it with dropping Haunted first, and I think we had plans to put out the music a lot sooner, but then I had a another business that ended up kind of started growing, the jewelry business, Black Feather Design, that ended up started growing, and I was like, right, realistically, the one that's going to actually kind of make a living for me, I need to dig my teeth in this year to get me set up so I can start digging into music this year.
Because you really first caught our attention at the tram shed in Cardiff, supporting Florence Black, special guest spot
Yes.
there. And it was just like, wow, you've just done like about 8 tracks of completely original material and blowing the huge majority of people away.
Oh, thank you. Because honestly, that gig, I was, I was stressed to hell. Like it, I'm not. This show has been so demanding for me as a singer and as a guitarist and coordination.
Yeah,
I like, I get that first the 2 weeks before that show, I was just miserable because I was just working every day to make sure that I could get it right. So like. It's always that first one, and yeah, I was incredibly nervous, and
yeah.
I'm glad that it kind of translated. And we had a lighting engineer with us called Laura, and she just did the most insane light show for us in that gig. It was incredible.
It was a great night, and I'll put in a review from that night. There was a mate of mine, Charlie, looked across me 2, 3 tracks in and said, "This is the British Rival Sons."
I like
Uh,
that.
and listening to the EP, that assertion stands tall now. It's I would I happily quote it again.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
just it it sums up. You've got that raw bluesiness and the rock all beautifully brought together.
I think that's kind of what we were aiming for. Like, I think the Dead Collective was such a natural kind of progression as a writer for me because when I was looking at the Dead Collective like as a whole, I was trying to figure out where I really wanted to sit, and I just let the songwriting lead the process, and it kind of feels this amalgamation of kind of my roots with, where Rave and I was going. I felt like it's the synergy between the both that kind of started crafting these songs very, very organically.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to the lyrics of Haunted and Sinking Ship, and they just totally envelop you, totally wrap around you. Where does that come from?
In all honesty, from a pretty dark place, I think. Haunted was a bit of a as in my own, I think as a songwriter lyrics, for me, I think my subconscious is more aware of my mental health than my own consciousness is. And I think Haunted came a couple of weeks before a pretty bad mental health episode that I had. And I think it all comes from a very honest place. I think for me, it was a bit of
Yeah,
therapy for me to kind of get it out and create the songs. But I think it was a huge, huge wake up call. I think, especially when Haunted finally hit me about what was going on and then what proceeded in the events after Haunted as well. So I think it's a pretty raw record for me as a lyricist, and I think it can be hard. It's hard to kind of I think now when we're prepping for the shows, it's hard to go back to singing the songs and getting in that space again and reminding myself of where I was. And I think, but I'm grateful for it as well because I'm not where I was now mentally, and I sought help. I did the things that I needed to do to kind of get in a better position mentally. But these songs are a reminder of where I was and
yeah,
what I needed to do to get out of it.
definitely. I mean, I'm talking about mental health. A real, it's a real thing now. People are very honest about that. Your lyrics are incredibly honest, and
Thank you.
I guess in time will that form part of a coping mechanism for yourself as a person?
I think so. I think it helped me make a lot of peace and closure with things that I don't think I'd be able to make closure with otherwise. I think I'm very lucky as a songwriter that, things that I can get these things out and I can put them out in a different platform or in a different format to really kind of get out my system. And I think it's definitely made me more aware of when I'm writing of what I'm writing about, that maybe there's something that I need to be aware of in my present state, I guess. Like if I'm singing songs about certain things or writing lyrics about certain themes or things, it gives me a chance to check myself and make sure that, okay, right. Because I mean it is heavy. I mean, all the songs proceeding are pretty dark and have a dark tone. And I'm comfortable in that space. I'm comfortable to write in that. I think I love the atmosphere that it can give and that kind of and the weight it gives to songs.
Yeah. And I mean, myself, I have talk about anxiety, depression over years, and you just find ways of dealing with it, writing your music for yourself, and I think being more open and honest, it's a strength of individual of character.
Yeah, I think that was a big wake-up call for me. I think being more open and comfortable discussing it made me kind of, I don't know, I guess normalize it a lot more for me. I think at that point of time I was in denial about a lot of it, and I think that's why it came off in a very, it came off in a kind of explosive way, I guess, and
Yeah,
a couple of occasions, and one a lot worse than the other, and it's because I wasn't really paying attention to it, and I think you convince yourself that I know what it's just a bad day or it's just I think yeah like and yeah I think it's great to to be able to comfortably talk about it and be open about it
absolutely.
because there's nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed of or
No, no,
it helps being open.
most certainly. And you've wrapped those three songs into a beautiful four-track EP,
Thank you.
and the CD, the vinyl, the first runs have sold out. That must thrill you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me, yeah. It's incredible because I mean I wasn't sure like the intention wasn't that was not for that to happen. It was just like right, let's make this a special run because then we're gonna have the live shows as well. Let's just
Yeah,
print just 250 and see how it goes. And the fact that they all just went within the day, it just was mind blowing. And we're like, well, let's get the DEPs, let's get the vinyl sorted out. Let's just do 100. And then they went off in 7 hours. They were gone.
yeah,
And it's just yeah, I think to be away for such a long time and to not really, I wasn't posting or engaging on social media. I really stepped away for my own sake and to kind of come back and the music industry is hard because I don't think you can do it in halves. Like you're either in it or you're out.
very
And
much so.
like knowing now that I'm going in, I'm like committing myself. It's to see this already still there and there's some weight there. It's mind blowing. I'm so happy and it makes me really excited about
Yeah.
it.
And you've brought a wonderful collective, pardon the pun, to accompany you on stage with Wayne Proctor on drums. You got Sam Wood with you again on your
Yes.
debut headline on Wednesday night, I understand.
Yeah, Sam Wood he's doing all the shows with us. Gigs forgiven like when he's got the free time, he's with us all the time. So he's gonna be doing the Answer tour with us and Winter's End as well as the headline show in Newark, which is wicked. Like I love him to pieces. He's such a wonderful character to be around. And in all honesty, Wayne and I are pretty dark individuals. So to have someone that's just this beaming smile and joy
Yeah.
and happiness he's a great balance for us. So I think it helps a lot.
I mean, Sam's one of those guys, and he just never stops smiling, and you've got that brilliant white Les Paul. Yeah. Um, it's, yeah, I mean, when you just talk about things and you think, it's, yeah, a nice balance. Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, like because Wayne and I are very, very detailed people, and I think it can, as well as it being a strength, I think it can also at some point stop you from having perspective on where things are. And Sam's really good at pulling us into that perspective, like oh, yeah, this is great here, we're great here, and like for me, I'm definitely guilty of like, well, how can this be better? At any point, even if something's good, I'm looking at it going, well, how can this be better than what it was? And
Yeah,
I think and having someone like that can help you appreciate that. Yeah, actually, what we did was great, and we've had rehearsals the whole week and sitting there and like, it's it's hard when you're a band to like make sure everyone connects. So to have everyone connect so comfortably, especially as a three piece, there's always one person that's kind of slightly on the out like the outside because there's like a duo thing. So
mm.
actually to have this synergy between all three of us, it's really a really beautiful balance. So I'm grateful Sam can be involved in it.
Oh, that's awesome. And there's another piece of the jigsaw we haven't mentioned yet. Was Joe Quayle, the cellist from London, made that
Yeah.
wonderful arrangement for Haunted. It was worth reprising the track a second time on that EP. Is there any plans to sort of bring that to the live show, perhaps, or is that a step too.
No, it's definitely my intention. I think because originally that version of Haunted was meant to come out like a month after the original launch of Haunted last year, but that's when I pushed everything back and just said, "All right, I'm not ready for this yet."
Sure.
And the whole thing with the Solitude sessions is that we are creating alternative versions of the songs to give them a different color and without avoiding when we're avoiding novelty of it just being another acoustic song. So we're actually doing a Solitude session with Joe Quayle again for Sinking Ship, but she
Phenomenal.
loops herself with a cello. She does all this percussion and stuff. So right, hey, let's get you down creating the percussion and the loops for Sinking Ship, and let's work a completely different version out with that. So my plan is with the Solitude sessions is that I'm doing alternative versions of some of these songs, but it's an alternative version, not just me sticking with an
Yeah.
acoustic. We want to recreate the song, reimagine it with, with more limitations of instrumentation and production to create something unique, and with definitely the intention of being able to tour it as well, and being, doing like the Solitude tours and bringing guests out, and as well as having Joe Quayle, having some other incredibly talented artists collaborate on these songs.
That sounds incredibly exciting, and that's going to be something, in my opinion. Just listening to that, I've got a kind of a tingle. It's going to make you stand out from a massed crowd.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think because you spend so long working on a song and crafting a song to tell a story and give so much, and I think sometimes when it's put in a rock format, I think some of it can get lost in its translation. I think, you start wondering about how heavy you can get the riff and how big, grungy you get this tone. So to
Yeah,
be able to strip things back and isolate things in a lot more of a, raw fashion to kind of bring attention to different elements. Lyrics hit differently, you sing differently, and it's great for me. Like I take a lot of attention to lyrics, and I don't want those to get lost, and be able to offer something different musically gives the song so much life, especially with the way music's consumed now. It's a lot more disposable. Making more of a song, making more of a story to the songs, I think it highlights more about it.
yeah. I think with a story, because I mean, the original components of music, rock music, folk, country, blues, all a lot of the songs did tell stories,
Yeah.
and I think it's important. You get more of a connection. Yeah, you got that sing along chorus, but it ends up in the garbage bin after a while and is replaced by the next one. A story always remains.
I couldn't agree more, and that's one of the reasons why Haunted was the first song to launch for the whole thing, really, because there's no arrangement to it. It's not we weren't trying to go for a verse chorus. We're like, right, it was just the most just the easiest song. Like it felt such like a linear progression, but it really, usually when you go back to when you finish a song, you finish writing, you go back and you work on the production, you work on the arrangement to kind of really make it more engaging. And it was just the most natural progression of not trying to be anything but it's itself, and not feel like it needs to conform to just having a hooky chorus and even trying to repeat itself too much. It really was trying to tell more. And I think as a writer now, that's really the vein I'm going down, and what the songs that are coming out in the future as well, that it's really trying to focus less and trying to repeat ourselves and saying, all right, let's get the upbeat song, let's get the fast song. It's really just about creating atmosphere, and it's I guess a lot of gravitas in what we're trying to put out.
That's it for sure. I mean, so you had those three tracks from the EP. You played them live at the Tram Shed alongside I don't know, four or five others, wasn't it? Including stuff like
Yes,
Father, Another Day Lost. Are those tracks going to see the light of day recorded?
they are already recorded 100%. Originally the launch is going to be for an album. We had the tracks already and we had the
Yeah,
order lined up, and I was like, I just knew that would be a mistake as I first dropped for a band. It's too early for us to put an album out. With being realistic, we've got to kind of work on our time and work on our budget and make sure that it's affordable to sustain throughout the year. So we've got a whole kind of release plan lined up for everything. So the next drop that's going to come out with the next kind of batch of songs, as well as another Solitude session, which is going to be the Sinking Ship version, will be completely different than how we dropped this EP. So we really want to create something different, because obviously the easy thing would be to would do what we did this time, do a limited launch, then do maybe a second limited launch. I don't want to do that every time. So this next drop for the next one is going to be completely different. And just to kind of, I guess because we can and take our
Yeah.
time with it, but they're all recorded, like everything's down and ready to go. And we're trying to, because I think the blessing with an EP is that with it not being an album, you haven't got to fit certain kinds of songs together to create an album. These next batch of songs could all be slow songs if I wanted to. It could be all the three
Yeah.
epic ballads because it doesn't really matter at that point. It's just a collection of music, I guess, with an EP, where an album is like the whole package. So we've got a few things in mind for it, but yeah, I mean, it's all ready.
So with having those tracks recorded, that's not going to affect your ability of saying, well, do you know what? I'm going to go out this summer and hit the festivals of a date. You've got quite a projection forward.
Yeah, we've got a proper plan in place for the whole year. I think if you know, it's strangely, I think from my jewelry company, I've learned a lot of how to apply some aspects, some planning and organization to the music side of it, and I think we've kind of transposed that over to like how we're going to release this record and make sure that it's organized. Because I really, like I think we said earlier, like you can't do music by halves. Like you're in it, so I
Yeah.
wanted to get the schedule sorted out for the releases of it and how we're going to do it, how we're going to create the artworks and what we're going to plan throughout the year so that it's engaging all the time and there's a lot coming out, but also people know that I'm committed to this. You know, I'm gonna live and breathe this again and that I'm excited by it. Because I think people, believe in, support passion. I think that's the great thing about music. When
Yeah.
people see that you're behind it, they get more behind it with you.
Yeah. That's really intriguing to hear and genuinely interesting. And don't forget us guys at MPM. We're right alongside you in that.
Thank you. Man, it means the world. Like, yeah, it really does mean the world.
Yeah. I mean, you got the shows coming up, and several shows before between now and the end of March. Is there any temptation to pick up the old guitars like the Hamm-tone Rail-car and bring her out for live?
I mean, now you mention it, I actually think I should pull it back out of the unit because it is a special guitar. Like the actual wood of it is from like an old rail car, like some Canadian rail car, and it's even got the nail still in the body of the
Yeah.
guitar, which is just it's sick, and it's such a kooky sounding guitar that it would work on songs like Sinking. Like I can hear it. Because usually live I'm a one guitar person. I don't like changing guitars because it just
Yeah.
annoys me with the whole taking one off and plug in. Unless you've got someone to hand your guitars over, but that's not in our budget. But it's a wicked special guitar. Like no one else has got it. It's not like your stock shape or anything. I love it. So you've definitely kind of piqued my curiosity of how it would sound along with the
Yeah.
new kind of
And
tones.
it just reading through a few things before joining you online, and it was just like this piece of the rail car floor, the walnut tree that had been zapped by lightning. What?
Yes,
It just like blew me mind, and I was like, I've got to ask you about it.
mate. I forgot that the neck of the guitar is tree like a lightning struck walnut tree. Like it's I forgot that. Yeah, it's special, man. You've kind of making me fall back in love with it because originally I had it built to have a little two-pole pickup in the middle so I could have a separate output because it's for a two-piece. So
Yeah.
I could actually have a guitar and bass, the whole rig set up with it. And it's a beast.
It sounds absolutely insane. I do hope you do, because it just got that Brian May sort of, I'm going to take a bit of the mantelpiece and make a guitar out of it feel.
Mate, yeah, you've convinced me because I've been looking for another guitar to bring onto the show because I got my Strat, which is the Raven Eye Strat that I got made. I got that repainted black and with a copper pick guard, and I'm looking at the second guitar. I've got an SG, which I absolutely love, the 1970s
Yeah.
SG, but like I like taking that on tour less and less because it really is a special guitar. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to bring that out this time round. So I think it'll probably be the Hamm-tone that's going to have to come out.
Oh, man. That would be sweet as, because we're hoping we can get to the Feckler in Bristol to see you guys with the answer in mid-March. That's a special place. I don't know if you've ever played there before.
I have. I played there with when Hell Yeah were touring when they came over to the UK, and I went there once. But Like that, I think even for Ave and I think hell yeah was a bit too heavy for them. So I don't know how well we went down on that tour.
It's a great place, and this. I think Winter's End is going to be a good push forward after the headline show in Newark on Wednesday. You've got some EPs done a second run of the CD, I understand.
We yes, we did. We ended up we've done a print. We've done like the mini version of the vinyl. So we've actually got the vinyl artwork and also the CD itself is a vinyl, but it's a CD. It's
Yeah,
weird. I used to I love them. They're great, but yeah, we just the whole point was to have CDs for physical sales. So when we didn't have any, we're like, right, we're going to do a second print, but like we said, we'll do it with new artwork, do a limited run of that one again, and these ones are all have all numbered as well, so it's all kind of categorized a bit more.
happy days. I'm for certain I missed out on the first run. I'm guilty to say. I blinked and they were gone. I'm gonna, as soon as I come off this, get onto the store, the website, and
Oh,
press
bless you, mate.
purchase, because when Wes, your PR, sent over, I was just like, I was all over this. I was just like, Wes, you've got an absolute diamond in this guy.
Wes is a diamond dude as well. He's been really lovely to us, and like it's definitely been it's surreal to kind of get back into the world of it all. It's definitely been like a I've now got like a massive book to organize myself a bit more because the jewelry company's doing so much. I'm like, right,
That's
well, I
good
need
to
to make
hear.
sure that I can get the balance between the two because I can't neglect Black Feather Design, which is the jewelry shop, because I just it's doing so well. But I've got to keep digging in to keep the momentum going. But we've up till now we've hit 14,000 sales of Black Feather Design, so it's
Wow,
like
wow.
it's yeah. So it's a really serious part of my life now. Like it's completely changed our lives. So we're just trying to now work out the balance to make sure that, both get because I love both. I really do. And I'm always gonna love music the most because it's, my heart and soul. But, the joy thing kind of got me out of a, hole really.
Yeah, and the two are who you are as a person, essentially.
Yeah, I've always loved jewelry. When I was growing up, I always used to go to Crazy Pig in London and try the skull rings. So it's cool that I'm now designing and making my own skull rings and skull pieces, and I get to create. And I created two rings and a pendant for the Dead Collective, so we could take out on tour with us. And you took like kind of start beginning, to kind of amalgamate the two companies and the two lifestyles to bring something a bit different on tour with me because we all know like merch is really what's sustainable for a band on tour. Like that's how you kind of can afford to do these tours. So to be able to
Yeah,
take,
sure.
it's not just CDs, be able to take, my skull rings and like pendants and stuff that I've designed, take them with me. It actually can make a huge difference on, how we progress as a band to kind of make sure that we take lighting and sound with us because this show for me, the only way I want to do the Dead Collective shows is without any compromise. I want the light show. I want the sound. I want it to be completely undeniable from our side so that nothing is kind of being left in the hands of someone else that might not work it right.
Yeah, definitely. Ollie, it's been an absolute pleasure, a privilege. Thank you ever so much, and best wishes for the run of show. We'll hopefully catch you in Bristol.
Absolutely, mate. Thank you so much, Gary. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome.